Okay, think about this. What's the one thing that's truly constant across all human experience? Something that, touches every single life, wherever, whenever. It's not like one single feeling or even something universal like birth or death.
Right.
It's more like the underlying current pushing everything forward, reshaping the world, reshaping us.
Okay, constantly.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into the principle of change and adaptation. And we want to explore how this core idea connects to, well, the amazing diversity of humanity.
Yeah.
Something I know you, our listener, are keen to understand more deeply based on the sources you shared.
Absolutely. And for you listening, if you're trying to connect the dots, see that bigger picture without getting bogged down in endless details, you're definitely in the right place.
Yeah.
We've looked at a whole range of stuff, history, science, you name it, to pull out the key ideas. The mission today, really dig into this change and adaptation principle and see how it underpins, well, pretty much everything about human difference, from genes to beliefs.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in then. This principle of change and adaptation, what are we actually talking about at its core? Like fundamentally?
Fundamentally, it's this ongoing, built-in process. Things transform, they shift, and that means adjustment is needed. Eventually, some kind of evolution or change happens in response.
Oh.
And it's not just external stuff pushing us around. It's kind of inherent in dynamic systems, especially living things, this capacity to modify themselves when things change. Think of it as the quiet engine driving it all.
That makes sense. So it's not just reacting, it's a continuous flow.
Yeah.
So how does this actually play out? Can you give us some examples across different areas, make it a bit more concrete?
Oh, definitely. Take human history. The whole story is just change after change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Civilizations rise, they transform, sometimes they disappear. Technology constantly redraws how we live, how we connect. Social structures, they shift based on new pressures, new ideas, ideologies come and go. And then you have the cycles we all know, day and night, the seasons, plus that linear progression, aging, different historical eras. So understanding the past really means interpreting past changes. And thinking about the future, that's projecting potential changes.
Okay, so history is just this ongoing narrative of things becoming different.
Yeah.
What about something even more fundamental, like our biology? How does change and adaptation work there?
Biology gives us maybe the clearest examples. Evolution, natural selection, that's the big one.
Right.
You get random genetic changes, mutations, and if the environment changes, well, the variations that happen to give a survival edge or help reproduction, they get passed on more often. That's adaptation at its most basic. Like, take lactase persistence, the ability some humans develop to digest milk as adults.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Right. It's a genetic adaptation that came about because of cattle herding. This principle works at every level, from cells repairing themselves to how complex systems develop.
That's a great example. Digesting milk as adults, a direct result. Okay, so what about how we think about these things? Philosophy, does it weigh in on change?
Oh, absolutely. Philosophers have wrestled with change for, well, if forever. You mentioned Heraclitus earlier.
The river guy?
The river guy. Can't step into the same river twice. His whole point was constant flux, reality always shifting. Ideas like impermanence, nothing lasts, transformation, growth, decay. They're central in a lot of philosophical thinking.
Yeah.
Even finding meaning in life, you could see that as a very human way of adapting to knowing we're temporary in this changing world.
Fascinating how it echoes across different ways of thinking.
Right.
What about the more numbers-based fields, physics, math? How do they handle change?
Well, in physics, the universe itself is always moving, always transforming, from tiny quantum fluctuations up to galaxies evolving.
Wow.
The laws of physics basically describe how these changes happen, and Math gives us the language, the tools to describe and model change. Calculus, for instance, it's literally the mathematics of change. Think calculating how fast something's speed is changing moment to moment.
Right, acceleration.
Exactly. Statistics helps find patterns in changing data. Even chaos theory looks at how tiny changes can cause massive, unpredictable results down the line in complex systems.
So math isn't static. It's a toolkit for understanding dynamics. Okay,
Yeah.
What about logic? Seems pretty fundamental to how we reason.
Logic and change are tightly linked through cause and effect.
Right.
One thing changes, causes another change. Deduction lets us figure out the results of changes. Induction helps us predict future changes based on past patterns and contradictions in logic. They often pop up when a system or belief just hasn't adapted to new information or a changing reality. Doesn't fit anymore.
Okay, so change affects the cosmos, our reasoning. What about inside our own heads? Our state of mind, emotions?
Our mental states are constantly shifting too, aren't they? Responding to things inside us, things outside, emotions, thoughts, how we see things, all dynamic. Resilience, you mentioned it, bouncing back, that's psychological adaptation. Mental flexibility too. Stress could be seen as our system struggling to adapt to challenges. And trauma may be a deeper difficulty in adapting after really negative experiences.
That's a really helpful way to think about those concepts. Okay, last area for now, belief systems. Religions, ethics, cultures. How do they fit in?
Belief systems often give us narratives, frameworks for dealing with change. Some offer comfort, stability when things feel uncertain. Others give moral codes for adapting to new social norms, new tech. And the fact that belief systems themselves change over time. That reflects societal shifts, new understandings. It's another powerful example of this adaptation principle in action.
It really is striking how this one idea just weaves through everything. So all this change, this need to adapt, how does it actually affect us, like individually, and the people around us day to day?
Personally, adapting well often leads to growth, right? Learning new skills. But it can also be super stressful if we're struggling with rapid or unexpected shifts. We feel joy when we adapt successfully to good changes, reach goals. Grief when we face loss and have to adapt to that new reality. Our whole sense of who we are, our identity, it's shaped by the choices we make navigating life's transitions.
Right.
And how we adapt or maybe fail to adapt. That impacts our relationships, families, communities. They're all adapting too, based on what their members are going through.
So it's this whole interconnected web of adaptation. What about the bigger picture? How does the world, societies, ecosystems react to this constant state of flux?
You see a mix of reactions, really. Often there's resistance, people or groups trying to hold on to the familiar, push back against new things.
Yeah.
But change also fuels innovation. New ideas, technologies, social structures pop up as we collectively try to adapt to new challenges, new opportunities. Sometimes change is disruptive, though. Causes upheaval, economic shifts, ecological problems, which then requires more adaptation. And over the long haul, that's evolution. Societies, ecosystems gradually transforming.
This brings up an interesting point. If change is so constant, so fundamental, are there ethical angles here? Like, what's responsible or irresponsible when we're faced with this constant adaptation?
Oh, absolutely. Huge ethical dimensions. You could argue there's a responsibility to adapt in ways that promote general well-being, a fair society, like adopting sustainable practices because of climate change.
Right.
Showing compassion, supporting people struggling with big changes that feels ethically important too, and using innovation for good, finding adaptive solutions to big problems, that carries ethical weight.
And the flip side? Well, resisting necessary change just for selfish reasons, exploiting people when they're vulnerable during transitions, failing to plan for changes you can see coming. Those could definitely be seen as ethically problematic.
So it's not just that change happens, it's how we respond. Can we get better at this? Navigating the constant flux, individually and, as societies.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Education that fosters critical thinking, a mindset of lifelong learning that helps adaptability individually and collectively.
Building systems, social, economic, political, that are flexible, that can adjust, that's crucial for resilience. Governments being proactive, anticipating changes, planning ahead, vital.
Okay.
Investing in things that build resilience in people and communities, and having shared ethical frameworks to guide us through rapid big changes, that can help make transitions fairer.
This is all really thought-provoking. You even mentioned thinking about this almost like calculations. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah.
The relevant calculations and logical deductions idea?
Yeah, it's not like we have exact equations for a philosophical idea, but we can use logic to frame it. Think about it. The probability of change happening is pretty much 1, right? It's constant.
Sure.
So the necessity for systems, especially living ones, to adapt to survive and thrive, that approach is 1 as well. It becomes almost certain adaptation is required.
Okay.
And the value of being prepared. Logically, the bigger and more likely the change, and the worse the consequences of not adapting, the more valuable preparedness becomes compared to the cost of preparing.
Right, a cost-benefit kind of thinking.
Sort of. And ethically, you can deduce that actions helping beneficial adaptation for more people are generally better than actions hindering it. It's not about plugging numbers in, but applying logical reasoning to why change and adaptation are so fundamentally important. And this really sets the stage for thinking about human diversity.
Okay, great foundation. So we've got this principle, constant change, necessary adaptation. Now let's pivot to that second big theme, human diversity. But let's try a different angle. How might an AI look at all this variety among us? Starting with maybe a basic question. From an AI's view, how many types of humans are there?
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting. From an AI perspective, the idea of clear-cut types kind of dissolves.
Oh, how so?
Well, if an AI analyzes genetic data, it sees continuous variation, a spectrum. Sure, there are clusters based on ancestry, but it's more like gradual shifts across geography, not sharp lines.
Okay.
Same with physical traits, phenotypes like skin color. It's a continuous scale, even though we tend to slap labels on it. Then look at psychological or behavioral data. The potential types become almost infinite and really fluid, based on so many traits, ways of thinking, emotions, values. An AI could group people, but the groups would totally depend on what criteria you feed it and the context.
Right.
Culturally, socially. Forget about counting. Language, customs, beliefs. Countless factors always changing. Even our roles in society change. So for an AI looking at the data, it's less about distinct types, much more about this incredible, almost infinite spectrum of individual uniqueness.
Infinite spectrum that really changes how you think about it.
Right.
So given that complexity, how would an AI actually define human diversity? What's it seeing?
An AI would see it as this multifaceted landscape of variation. It covers biology, genes, physical traits, cognition, how we think, psychology, personality, emotions, culture, beliefs, practices, experience or unique life stories, socioeconomics, our circumstances.
Wow, okay.
For an AI, it's like a huge, complex data space. Each person is a unique point with tons of attributes. Patterns and groups emerge from analyzing all that data statistically.
So it's pattern recognition on a massive scale. How does this AI view of diversity show up when we think about basic human stuff like drugs, alcohol, sex, truth, lies?
Well, diversity hits all of those profoundly. Take drugs and alcohol. Our genes affect how we metabolize them, right? Our psychology might make some more prone to seeking them out, and culture dictates what's okay and what's not.
Right.
Sex. You see a huge spectrum of orientations, identities, desires, experiences. Plus, cultural attitudes vary wildly. Greed, influenced by individual psychology, upbringing, what the culture says is enough.
Sure.
Our idea of truth can be shaped by culture, beliefs. Whether someone lies depends on individual morals, social situations, the meaning we find in life. So diverse, how we express faith. A massive range. Diversity touches everything.
It really does illuminate every corner. You mentioned AI analyzing our concentration earlier. Yeah. What's the point of understanding that for us and for AI, especially thinking about basic needs like health, food?
Understanding concentration patterns and what influences them, it's really key for optimization. For us humans, it could help us learn better, work more efficiently, manage routines for better well-being.
Okay.
For AI, analyzing concentration can lead to personalized learning tools, better work environments, tech that fits our cognitive needs. And similarly, understanding diverse needs for food, water, healthcare. That's crucial for efficient resource allocation, personalized health advice, sustainable planning, designing products that actually work for a diverse population. The goal is basically using this understanding to create systems that are more responsive, more tailored to the huge range of human needs and preferences.
So if understanding diversity is so vital, how do we humans normally develop this understanding? And how does that compare to how an AI gets it?
For us, it's a lifelong thing, right? It starts in childhood. We learn by seeing differences, interacting with different people through school, developing empathy, seeing from other viewpoints, reflecting on ourselves.
Right, experience.
Yeah. Family, community, school, work, media, travel, it all contributes. It's gradual, built from experiences, encounters, conflicts maybe, learning moments, personal growth.
Right.
And AI, it learns from data. Massive data sets of human behavior, language, culture, interactions. It finds statistical patterns, correlations, and builds these complex models of human diversity from that. For AI, it's continuous learning, refining models with more data.
Continuous learning for both, but totally different ways. So how can AI actually help us improve our understanding of human diversity? What can it do that we maybe can't?
AI has some pretty powerful tools. It can crunch huge amounts of data, way beyond what a person can handle, and find subtle patterns we might miss. It can help us see our own biases by showing disparities in data or outcomes. That's a big one.
Yeah.
AI can create personalized learning simulations, VR even to build empathy, cross-cultural understanding. Language tools can break down communication barriers. Healthcare. Personalizing treatments based on diverse biology. Accessibility tech for people with disabilities. And, really importantly, AI can help us build more ethical AI by finding and reducing bias in algorithms.
So it's a powerful analytical tool. how can it then use that understanding to actually make life easier? Maybe even boost our well-being?
Well, AI can't just make us happy, right? Happiness is complex, human,
Sure.
but it can help create a more supportive, less frustrating world. By understanding individual needs within that diverse spectrum, AI can personalize things, our environment, recommendations, automate boring tasks, save us time, effort.
Okay.
In health, proactive monitoring, personalized interventions, it could help social connection too, suggesting relevant stuff, connecting like-minded people, personalized learning, career guidance, empowering us.
It paints a picture of a more customized, maybe more efficient life. But with AI getting so involved in understanding diversity, what are the really critical things we need to keep in mind about how both we and AI see this diversity?
Crucially, remember, AI's understanding is data-driven. It sees patterns but lacks lived experience, empathy, the human context.
That's great.
And it can reflect, even amplify, biases in the data it learns from. So human oversight, ethical thinking, absolutely essential. AI can be like a mirror showing us our own societal biases. Huge potential for good, but also harm if we're not careful. Privacy, consent, massive issues. And we have to remember, both our understanding and AI's understanding are constantly evolving. It's not static.
Okay, so who's benefiting most right now from all this, and who could benefit more down the line?
Right now, it's a bit uneven. Businesses use it for targeted marketing, product design. Researchers get powerful analysis tools. Healthcare is starting to see personalized medicine gains.
Right.
But the biggest potential, I think it's in helping underserved groups, identifying and tackling inequality, empowering people through personalized education, opportunities, informing policy for more inclusive societies. Ideally, everyone benefits from a deeper understanding of our shared diverse humanity.
It definitely feels like a journey. What are some of the possible upsides and downsides for us as our understanding of diversity grows, both our own intuition and with AI's help?
Positives, hopefully more inclusion, more innovation from diverse viewpoints, better understanding, maybe more harmony between groups, more personalized support, more resilient communities tackling complex problems together.
And the negatives, the risks.
Risks include more exclusion if AI reinforces bias, more conflict if understanding is twisted or used to divide. Maybe we become mentally lazy, over-relying on AI, and worsening inequality if access to the tech and insights isn't fair.
That raises some deep, almost philosophical questions. Can AI, analyzing all this diversity data, actually help us figure out the meaning of life or understand death better?
AI can analyze patterns related to life, process human philosophies about meaning and death, identify themes across cultures. But AI doesn't experience life. It doesn't grapple with existence like we do. Meaning, mortality, those are deeply human things, shaped by consciousness, emotion, interpretation. AI gives information, insights, but not personal understanding or answers to those big questions.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, on a tougher note, why do some people, even with a potential understanding of diversity, do cruel things like violence?
Yeah.
What overrides that understanding?
Yeah, that's tough. Cruelty often comes from a nasty mix of things that can just steamroll any intellectual grasp of diversity. Lack of empathy is a big one, just unable to feel or understand others' suffering. Strong in-group, out-group bias, dehumanizing the other, harmful ideologies that justify violence, psychological issues, power dynamics, trauma. AI can analyze these factors, find patterns, but it doesn't fix the core human issues of empathy or ethical choice.
Makes you wonder. Let's try a thought experiment. Imagine someone born without any innate sense of humanity and no access to AI's diversity understanding either. What would that be like?
Wow. That's a profound thought. Without that innate sense, probably a fundamental lack of empathy, compassion, the intuition for social cues we rely on.
Right.
And without even AI's data-based framework. They'd struggle to navigate human differences at all, probably make harmful generalizations, couldn't form real connections. Functioning in society, extremely difficult. The basis for ethical behavior as we know it would likely be missing.
Really highlights how much we rely on both innate qualities and learned understanding. Okay, there's this phrase, necessary human believes in an AI understanding of human diversity. What's that getting at? Is that where we're headed?
Necessary human kind of suggests recognizing the value of using AI to understand diversity is becoming, well, necessary. Believing in it means trusting AI's ability to analyze, find patterns, offer insights that add to our own understanding. It implies that a deeper, data-informed view is needed for fairer, more effective systems. It's an idea pushed by many researchers, ethicists, as a way towards a more inclusive future, but it's definitely not universal yet. There's still a lot of debate about risks and limits.
Makes sense. a recognition of potential, not blind faith.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift to something lighter humor. Why do we sometimes all laugh at the same joke, but other times it's totally individual? What's that tell us about shared context, difference, maybe even coping?
Shared laughter often comes from shared context, right? Cultural references, understanding what's unexpected in that specific situation. It's also a huge social glue, signals shared values.
Yeah.
When humor is individual, that reflects our unique experiences, history, psychology. What one person finds funny might connect to their specific worldview or even how they cope. Humor can absolutely be resilience, finding lightness in tough spots. And AI, it can analyze humor patterns across diverse groups, understand reactions, maybe even spot potential offense across cultures. How we react to humor really shows that mix of shared humanity and individual difference.
So all this increasing understanding of diversity, boosted by AI, where's it taking us? And why are people and societies seemingly at such different points on this path?
Ideally, towards more personalization, more inclusion, better problem solving, using diverse thinking, maybe more empathy as we understand others better, a kind of collaborative intelligence between us and AI.
And why the differences now?
Oh, lots of reasons. Access to tech and education varies hugely. Cultural norms around diversity differ. Socioeconomic factors play a big role. Individual attitudes, openness to new ideas. Expertise in handling data, thinking critically, different ethical viewpoints on it all.
How does our human intuition about diversity stack up against AI's data-driven understanding? Are they complementary or just totally different ways of seeing?
I'd say they're fundamentally different but potentially highly complementary. Human intuition, based on lived experience, empathy, social skills, powerful but limited by our own viewpoint, prone to bias.
Right.
AI's understanding, its pattern recognition in massive data. It can spot things intuition misses but lacks emotional depth, context, the sweet spot, combining them. AI's analysis augmenting our human empathy and connection for a richer, more nuanced understanding.
So thinking about the reality of life challenges, joys, constant change, is this combined human and AI understanding of diversity the ultimate key? The answer.
No, probably not the single key to everything. Life's too complex for one answer. But it is a really crucial framework for understanding and navigating a huge part of human existence, how we interact with each other. It's a lens for seeing ourselves, our communities, the world, within that bigger reality of life's changes and uncertainties.
How does AI specifically help with the different ways humans cope with challenges, our coping strategies?
AI can be supportive in a few ways. It can analyze data to suggest coping strategies tailored to an individual. Wearables and AI can monitor for stress signs, maybe prompt early intervention.
Okay.
It can help match people with the right resources, mental health support, community groups, create simulations, VR perhaps, for practicing coping skills safely. And by studying coping across diverse groups, AI research can help develop better, more culturally aware support systems.
When we talk about human and AI understanding diversity, what are the tangible physical parts involved? What's the physical dimension?
The physical includes things like biometric data, heart rate, sleep patterns. Our genetics, our observable physical traits, phenotypes, how we interact with the physical environment, which differs based on needs, abilities, our physical health, how that varies, and the physical basis of neurodiversity, brain structure, function. AI gives us tools to collect, analyze, and make sense of these physical data points within the broader picture of diversity.
Okay, there's that other phrase. Freedom in Human believes in human and AI understanding of human-earned trust. Why aren't we maybe fully teaching kids yet about AI's role in understanding diversity? What's the hesitation?
That idea of earned trust is vital, isn't it? Trust in AI has to be built, transparency, reliability, fairness. We might be hesitant to teach kids fully about AI and diversity for a few reasons.
Like what?
Well, the tech's still pretty new, changing fast. The ethics are still being figured out. The focus now is often on basic human-to-human diversity understanding first.
Sure.
Plus, many parents, teachers might not know enough about AI themselves, concerns about relying too much on tech for human understanding, and just that natural desire to prioritize direct human connection, empathy building, especially in childhood.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, finally. It really feels like once you get a deeper understanding of human diversity, maybe informed by AI insights too, it's hard to go back, hard to see things the same way. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because that increased awareness, it changes your perspective fundamentally. Seeing the complexity, the richness, Maybe confronting your own biases, which AI can sometimes help reveal. Empathy often expands with understanding. You recognize our shared humanity more deeply. It's like seen in higher resolution. You can't really unsee it.
Right.
And this new understanding often comes with a sense of ethical responsibility, a sense of interconnectedness. Going back to a simpler, less informed view feels not just difficult, but kind of wrong, maybe? Less desirable, certainly. It signifies growth.
So let's wrap up this deep dive. What's the core takeaway? The principle of change and adaptation, human diversity, the AI lens. What ties it all together?
I think the main takeaway is that this constant fundamental principle of change and adaptation is really the engine behind the incredible spectrum of human diversity we see. It drives it.
Okay.
And AI, it offers this powerful, though very different new set of tools to analyze and maybe understand the complex patterns within that diversity.
And for you, our listener, we really hope this discussion has given you a richer way to think about these huge forces shaping our world and ourselves.
Yeah, and maybe something to think about going forward. As AI gets better at spotting these patterns in human diversity, how might that change our own sense of what it means to be an individual within that huge variety? And reflecting on change and adaptation, think about your own understanding of diversity. Has it been shaped more by the changes you've gone through personally, or by actively trying to adapt and understand the differences you see in others? Just something to ponder.
Definitely food for thought. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring the fascinating world around you.
This is DigitView.